I can't stress enough how important setup is, which is why I'm bringing it up again. Most really good ball strikers, they'll tell you that pretty much all their work is done at setup. And this is part of the reason why all these little quick fixes that you're constantly doing on a daily basis, most of them don't work for you. And if they do work, it's for a short period of time. One, because it may not be the correct quick fix for you. And two, if you're thinking about having to manipulate the club during the motion, you got to hit the brakes. And you got to do some goofy stuff to get the club to go where you think it's going. If you set up to the golf ball the way that you should set up to the golf ball, then you can just let it fire. Every other sport, once a baseball is gripped, you let it go. Once you're set up to shoot a shot, you let it go. It can be the same way in this game. You just know how to set up properly to the golf ball for your build. So I'm going to bring him up again because he's the best player in the world and he hits it really good. Scottie Scheffler. Let's break down his setup real quick and why he sets up to the ball the way that he does. So you'll hear him talk about working on his grip all the time. He's a little bit on the weaker side with his left and a little bit on the weaker side with his right. That's because this is a closing and steepening motion. His wingspan is longer than his height. That's another steepener. So because of those things, plus he's a front post golfer, so he's into his left side pretty early, and he's coming up off of his right foot because all of his weight is over here, and he's jumping off of this left leg. So some of the things that he does to help him out in his setup because of the way that he moves is, one, you'll see him play the ball further back. He's got a weaker grip because of his steepeners and closers. You'll see him play his irons like off of his nose. He stands really erect to it. Probably helps with the additional length of his arms. So that's probably another shallower, the way that he stands so tall to it. You'll see his right foot back just a touch. That's an additional shallower. I also think the width that he's got going on with his stance, that helps him to shallow it a little bit too. Scotty's not a guy who's got to feel like he's got to get everything perfectly parallel to the target. His feet are a little bit shut. You'll see his shoulders just a touch open. He definitely doesn't have a whole bunch of this tilt going on like all these golf instructors tell everybody to do. He's here, right? Because he's an on-top golfer. The moral of the story is that, yes, setup is super, super important. Can't stress it enough. Because a guy like Scotty, he knows that once he's got that setup just so for him, now it's time to fire. He can just free it up, get soft and free, and he's probably going to hit a pretty good shot. And he knows that when he doesn't hit good shots, probably has something to do with his grip and his setup. But the key is that you can't just go out on the range and say, okay, everything's parallel. I've got a little bit of tilt here. Now I'm good to go. And my grip is neutral. Everybody's got to set up to it in a different way. And really the easiest way to find out how you need to set up to it is to get screened. So come out and see me and get screened so that you know what your setup needs to be. Or find somebody who can do the screening process for you. Because the best thing that a golfer can feel is I'm set up properly, and now I can just let it fire.